Welcome back, guys. Obviously the seed video that we did the other day wouldn't render, so yeah, I've had to reschedule that part anyway, but we've still got plenty more seeds, plenty more time, so that will come out. Obviously the seeds that I did put in have not come up yet anyway, so there's no update video on that. The dill is doing okay undercover, so that's fine. So pretty much it's a dull day down here. I don't know what it's like for everybody else, but it's terrible. But we're working onwards, so to speak. Got the mat hook out because we've got to start clearing space where the polytunnel frame that we've been given will be going. So that's going to become either a fruit cage or, you know, a cage for the brassicas. So that's going to be an interesting little project in its own, but it's going to leave me with probably about 1.5 foot wide section up the side, which I'll probably do small stuff in, and then also another 2, maybe 3 foot wide across the back. And I'm going to box it off, make them into their own individual beds. So basically the polytunnel frame will be fixed to the beds, just to like hold it down a little bit more, give it that extra more stability. But let me set the camera up outside and I'll show you how bad the ground is this morning, well, this afternoon. So yeah, as you can see, this ground, excuse the mess, this is what we've got to clear up. So over here is the burn pile. We have brought a incinerator for that, but as you can see, it is kind of bad.
No need to hurry, no need to prove, just a fresh air and something new. Tomato vines climbing patiently, strawberries hiding sweet and free, carrots sleeping beneath the ground, quiet moments, the best we've found. Packets of seeds and muddy shoes, every season brings something new. Rain on glass where the warmth stays in, peace inside the polytunnel skin. We're the average growers, side by side, sunburned smiles, dirt-stained pride, fruits and veg, let nature decide, let the days roll gently by. No race to win, just love what grows, from tiny seeds to heavy loads. Tunnel humming in the heat, bees dancing low around our feet. Lettuce, apples, beans, and peas, simple joys grown patiently. We're the average growers, calm and true, growing food and growing too. Every seed's a quiet promise made in shaded beds and sunlit rays. From early spring to autumn, fades soft and low.
As you can see, having to do it little and often, take little breaks, but so pretty much here is the line going up to that flower pot. That's going to be one bed, and then obviously across there as well. So yeah, it's going to take a while, but obviously with the ground being like the way it is at the moment, we're pretty much the best time to try and get these bramble roots out while the ground's really wet. It's harder work, but with harder work comes bigger reward, I guess. So yeah, now it's starting to rain as well, so I don't know how much more in the video we're going to be able to make today. This may be a very short update, but we'll see what we get on. Because yeah, this obviously needs doing. So yeah, give that a little break because it's starting to drizzle a little bit more worse, and obviously we don't want the phone getting too wet. You know, we get issues at the moment with the damp sensor on it anyway, which we shouldn't have, considering I've not even had the phone a year. So yeah, fingers crossed it'll be hold out. If not, I have to turn it off and dry it out when I get home. But that surprisingly took a bit out of me, that one did. It was only a little patch, so that just shows us how it's going to be for the next foreseeable few weeks. Because yeah, I'm not going to be able to get all of that done in one day. No way, Jose. But let me spin you around, give you a little idea of what's going to happen in here. So as you can see, we have the C table up there, and then all down this side will be the tomatoes, things like that. And then obviously so a question for all you guys and girls: underneath the potting table, obviously it's still going to get lighting through there. I'm thinking I might do some like small lettuces and like the cut and come agains, or the little gems, or radishes, just something like that under there, just so I can utilize the space. Because yeah, I don't like to waste any space that I can, and I want to try and make it the best I can as well. So I'm gonna look at my chin. So yeah, I want to try and do it so that we utilize maximum space. Obviously we do have these. So for those that don't know what this one is and just think it's a normal plant pot, it's a Stewart, and it's got the water reservoir at the bottom. So pretty much put that in, fill up with your soil, and it's got a chamber probably about that deep underneath. So when you're watering things like that, any water that does not get used straight away, like excess water, will sit in the chamber, which means, you know, come summertime, when it's like, you know, pretty down hot, like we've had it in the poly, I've seen it hit 35-40 degrees over the years. So having those, I'm thinking maybe for the peppers or the cayenne, putting them into those and just have them sitting on each end. Obviously I'll keep them away from the tomatoes, because they do say not to grow peppers, chilies, anything like that next to tomatoes, because it can cause issues. So again, drop down below whether you think, or whether you've done tomatoes with sweet bell peppers, cayenne chili, things like that. So let us know down below whether you've tried it and you've had success, or whether you've tried it and it was a complete failure. Because if need be, we can always move the peppers and the chilies into the parent small poly, which normally where they do their peppers and things like that as well. So it may be better on the safeguard just to put them in there. So what's been going on this week? We've ordered, well, we didn't order, we went and picked up 150 litres of seed compost, a few more seeds and things like that, leeks. So we've got the leeks in at the moment, sitting on the windowsill because we picked up a new windowsill propagator. The money makers and the plum tomatoes, aromas, they are just starting to come up under heat. So that's a plus. We're starting those a lot more earlier than what we usually do, so we're already ahead of it. The sweet peas that are at the moment just sitting in a tray on the table in the conservatory with the other seeds, they are starting to come up. So I know it's a little bit later for them, but I want to try and, I didn't want to force them, I didn't want to put them under heat, so I kind of just kept them nice and damp on the windowsill in the conservatory and just let them naturally come through. Excuse me. So hopefully they should be a little bit more hardy, so they'll be able to go out over by the trellis in spring once we've had that last frost. So once we have that last frost is over and done with, I'll get them out. Obviously with the sweet peas, once they get to 2 or 3 leaf high, then I'll go along and just pinch out the tips on them as well, just to really help the root system to form. So yeah, we've still got plenty to do. Obviously but we're getting some couch grass growing out in between them, so I want to let them thicken up just a little bit more before I go through and actually start pulling out the grass root, because yeah, I don't want to be pulling out the onions or the garlic by mistake, even though it is kind of easier to tell. But with the couch grass that we've got, it's quite thick, so it's sometimes, you know, a little bit fiddly. You know, all it would take is somebody to message or someone else to turn up the plot and start talking while I'm reading, and yeah, before I know it, I would have pulled out half the plot. So that's definitely not what we want to do. But so there's that. So that's coming along. The raspberries, they haven't done nothing for 2-3 years now, so I reckon the canes themselves are spent. So again, once we've got that section done that I just showed you a little bit more, then we'll get the mat hook and I'm just going to rip out that whole section, turn it all over, rebox it, and then I've still got probably about 10, maybe 11 barrows worth of the horse manure still that we had delivered in autumn. So we had a trailer load. Well, I ordered a trailer thinking, okay, it's going to be about 2 ton. Turned out it was a trailer, but it was filled extra, and we ended up with, I think grand total was about 64 barrow loads, which in equivalent is around 4 ton. So yeah, that took us, had to call somebody in for that, and that took us a good day to get that all moved. But obviously a lot of it's all drying out now. There's a big clump of it actually right by my foot on the bed, so breakdown. So as you can see, it is severely, I'm going to have to start getting more moisture in here now, but it is definitely well rotted. So we're going to get, once we can, we'll set up the hose pipes again once the weather's cleared a little bit more, drying out, warming up, so there's no frost, so the actual taps get turned back on, and then we can start really getting some moisture into here. Obviously at the moment, as you can see, we are getting the condensation, so it is drip feeding, but I would like to get the watering system back up and running, because we do have misters and sprayers and drippers and God knows what else in here. They used to run off of a irrigator solar system, but for some reason I've never had much joy with it. You know, this isn't a product review, this is just my honest feedback on it. Airlocks happen way too often, to the point where you have to, you know, unscrew that, put that in your mouth, try and suck out as much air as you can, whilst, you know, turning them all off, you know, locking them all up so no air can get back into them every autumn. And then throughout summer I'm having to try and siphon it almost every time I'm up here that I hear it turn on, so it's not great. Obviously behind me we do now have 1, 2, 3 water butts, so, and we've got, where you can see the gutter on the inside, that's coming off, but there is also gutter on the outside, so that when it does rain it goes down, runs off into a couple of the water butts, and then the one in the middle is just literally catching any rain that hits it. So there is, hopefully that's going to come in handy. So hopefully, again, hopefully is going to be the word of the year, I think, because it's going to be one of those years. I've still got the long bed to wood chip, not the path, small path going up, that's still got to be wood chipped. The other one, the other side of the bed's got to be wood chipped, across the middle's got to be redone. So yeah, when you look at it like that, for anybody, whether they're taking on a new plot, you know, an existing plot, when you think about the jobs in a whole, it sounds a lot. It will get you demoralized, you know, it will put stress on you, things like that, and it's overall it's not good. So I just try and do it like, okay, well, I'm working on that bed and I will get that bed done, and then I'll deal on the next section. Or if anybody's available to help, like family wise, anything like that, then I'll just get them to focus on something else when I'm doing that. So it's gonna be a project, but that's the whole point of having an allotment, is having the project, putting in the hard work, putting in the graft, enjoying being out in the fresh air, even if it's raining like it kind of is now, drizzling, miserable, it's still getting out, it's still getting the fresh air, so you're still getting that extra. But not much more we can do up here, I don't think, today. Obviously I can do a little bit of weeding in here, you know, there's a few pieces of grass and it's just, weed. Don't know whether that's a weed or whether that was a small broccoli from last year. Nope, definitely a weed. Doesn't smell like broccoli, because even at a small size, you'd still smell it. So, but all we can do is pull out any excess weeds, you know, just have a general tidy up. Obviously we did trim back the grapevine a hell of a lot, because that grapevine was literally over here, back to front, round the side. And so yeah, last year was a very good year. We did have 3 crowns on the bottom when we trimmed it back. So what we done was we cut the 2 off at the side, left the main one that obviously has the fork, and then we've just tied it back, and fingers crossed we'll see how it does this year. If it doesn't do anything, then sadly, yeah, we'll have to take it out and replace it. But I've got to hope that it will come back, because I believe in my eyes we did it correctly. So it was my first time of actually cutting it back in like 5 years. So anything that was lesser size of a pencil, that all got cut off, because from what I've done on research, it won't grow on last year's, like it won't continue to grow on off of last year's. So we just took it back. Anything that's under the size of a pencil, stripped it. You know, we had probably, if I was to have done it as cut-ins, probably had enough to start an orchard. So yeah, just shows you how bad it was. But on that one for now, guys and girls, I think there's not much more we can do up here. Like to show you guys, obviously, just thinking. I'm just looking out there, trying to get ideas of what else I can be thinking about, because I'm always thinking about doing what's happening next as well as what I'm working on now. So the bed on the right hand side, that's where the climbing clematis is, that's where the sweet peas are going on the trellises. But I'm thinking more actually the bedside, and I can probably get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 maybe 10 dahlias in that bed. So we may turn that into a flower, like a population garden / house cut flower, because we do have cornflowers and other flowers as well to go in between. Hopefully the marigolds come up so I can put a row of them at the front, just to, you know, break it out, give it some actual stagger and like actual levels of growth, because I do like to see how everything grows in different heights as well. Just gives me more of an overall joy to actually see it out more as an actual layered style bed instead of just one height. I do like to kind of stagger it out. So you can't see, and I will show you at a later date when we come to put that in. Most of the dahlias that we did have here, when I lifted them, they did have issues, so they did end up getting burnt. So we are having to redo them So that's going to be a expensive project, considering I usually buy 30 different varieties of dahlias, you know, going from like small pom-pom all the way up to the dinner plates. So like the ones in between would be like your Tahiti Sunrise, Cafe Olays, things like that. Again, I like to try and put, this is my personal opinion, I like to mix a few whites in between the colours just to kind of break it up. But not only that, later on in the season, once you've done 4, 5, 6 cuttings to take down to the house, you tend to find that some of the colours from the other ones kind of mix in. So I've had like a solid orange before next to Tahiti Sunrise, which is obviously the yellow with like a pinky outer tip. So I've had it next to that with obviously a white one in front, and 6 cuttings down the line, the next lot of flowers that actually came through were almost like a peach. So obviously where the bees have been hopping around and skipping and pollinating, they've obviously taken some of that white and mixed it to the point where obviously with some of the pink as well, and it's just kind of bleached it, but it gives you a whole different style and colour of what you've had previously been having. So that's why I like to put them all in different colours, mix them just to see what they will do throughout the season. Because yeah, I just like the fact of how nature itself can completely change something from within 3-4 weeks. It can completely change its colour just by mixing. So that's an idea there. So again, on that bed, that bed is about 22 foot long by about 2 foot wide, and I'll normally put 8 to 10 lengthwise, and then double that, so between 16 and 20 in total. Obviously my maths ain't completely solid, but you get the idea that just in 2 beds that can be 30 dahlias, as well as staggering them out again around the plot as well. We do have a daisy style dahlia in the polytunnel that I grew from cutting, and it wasn't even from a cutting, I was at the garden centre picking up some of the other stuff. I was talking with one of the members of staff, and we was obviously standing next to the dahlias because that's what we were talking about, and I was talking about cuttings, you know, do they just snip them off and then just replant or transplant them? Do they use root hormones like root compound, anything like that? And as we were talking about it, they turned around and were like, well, that daisy one that's like next to us had been either snapped or, you know, something along them lines, and there was just a piece about that big just sitting next to the pot, and they were like, just put that, you know, just take that home and then just plant that somewhere warm. Now this was in spring. This bed had just been turned over, recomposted, you know, set up ready for the season. So I literally just plopped it in, and yeah, every year it comes back lovely dark red foliage with bright vibrant yellow single petal formation. Yeah, comes back every year. I can, because it's under here, I tend to get a prolonged flower season out of it. Like I was still cutting flowers off of that come October, So it's good. It does help, you know, it just gives that extra longer life obviously too, and we don't want completely fill up in here with dahlias. And don't get me wrong, those that know the channel and they know what I'm like, they know I would fill this place up with dahlias. I'd have them 4 or 5 foot tall in here if I could, but then we don't have any tomatoes or anything like that else that we can actually eat. So that you have to kind of hold yourself back a little bit with pushing out and you know, putting too much in, because yeah, we've got flower wise, as I say, we've got the marigolds, the sweet peas, the lavenders, sweet lavenders, because we've got the English and the not like the more hardy normals. There's a lot of flowers that are going to be going in this year. Cornflowers, we're trying them out because for some reason the parents have never had any luck with them. So I turned around and told them I'll put some in the allotment and try and see how we can get on with that. Obviously that's going to be its own individual bed over there. Poppies, they'll be going in. So my idea with the poppies is I'm gonna, once I've got it all turned over, broken down, I'm gonna snake two lines into that bed, and then wherever the curves are, I'm going to be putting the plants or herbs in those, so that the poppies will then grow and flower around them, just so it kind of boxes it in. Yeah, see how that goes. If it doesn't work out, then obviously before they go to seed, we'll just snip the heads off, dry the seeds out, use them for next year, and we'll just retry it some way different. So there's going to be nasturtiums going in mainly around the beans, because obviously black fly themselves, they're not a pain. No aphids actually a pain, because they do help with certain things, but when you've come up and your broad beans are completely full of black fly, it can be like, oh, here we go, it's going to be a bad crop. Where if you put nasturtiums out away from them, then the aphids tend to go more towards the nasturtiums, which then means you can get a somewhat better crop than if you didn't have them. And it just, peace of mind. It may be something silly, but it's something that I've always done. We've always had nasturtiums on the plots, and obviously once you've got them growing, they can be a pain in the you know what for when it comes to combating them. So there is that. I'm trying to think what other ones we've got. Nigellas, they'll be going in over there, and then obviously we've got, I think I've probably got in total 25 different herbs to go in as well. So we may end up having to create a whole new bed, which we will have, in fact. Once I'm done clearing that bramble pile and the polytunnel frame goes up over there, I'm going to have that 1 foot, 2 foot wide by probably 10 foot long little single bed there as well. So we may do the herbs coming down that side. One, they'll be easy to weed because it'll be by the path. Two, the bed won't be so wide as well, so it'll be easy weeding. So yeah, I think that's just made up that mind what's going to happen to that side of that bed. That's going to become the herb garden. So that's that sorted. I'll add that to the plan when I get home. because yeah, I always try and plan out, do little things like that, so that when it comes down to it, you know, if I go, oh, what was I going to put there, I can go back to the plan and be like, oh, okay, that's what we were going to do. So considering this was going to be a short little ramble, you know, we have gone over the 30-minute mark, so I won't keep it that much longer. Obviously, for those that are new to the channel, welcome. If you are watching for the first time, please think about giving us a subscribe and a thumbs up, and also ring that notification bell. Make sure it's on all as well, so that you don't miss out on any content, whether it's short form, long form videos, or when we hit that 50, we might even do a couple of lives. We do have an attachment for this phone coming that we can then use the wireless microphone as well, so we could potentially be doing a Q&A in like spring and summer, you know, when it's too hot to actually be working and we're taking a break. We can just do a live Q&A, you know, what's everyone been up to, what you're working on that day, just a general community live. So yeah, on that one, guys and girls, ladies and gents, please think about hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll catch you from the plot very shortly. And yeah, try and stay warm, and happy growing. See you all soon.